there, assholes. Welcome to Patriarchal Bastards, episode 2, which has taken, unfortunately, 2 fucking weeks to record. Um, that has a lot to do with it being the holidays
I
and just
quit
scheduling.
making up excuses. Don't even start. Sorry.
Okay, the truth is, I don't like Scumbag anymore, and I've been trying to get him off my ass, but he won't stop tickling my little butthole every day to do this
Wow, dude,
podcast,
you had to,
so...
you had to make it sexual, dude. You know there are people that actually have their buttholes tickled. Would you think about them for a second? Would you think about them for a
Yeah,
second?
we smell our own, I
God, this is
understand.
so that's just so like homophobic what you just said there. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to report you. I think to like a hotline or something.
Listen, you're a cis male. You can't talk about fingering your butthole, okay?
No,
You
see,
don't
no, see,
understand.
I could be a gay cis male, so you have to have a certain like, there's like boxes you can check off to like if you're a certain thing before you can complain about certain issues. Like it's either
Yeah,
gay. So if you're a white man, the only thing you can do is be gay. You have to be gay. That's the only thing you can do to complain about issues. Right? See, if you want to be able to complain about everything, you have to be a gay black woman.
that's true. That is like the
That
trifecta.
is the perfect like scope and range to complain about everything.
Well, I used to talk with my buddy. We used to make video stuff, and we just talked about how much further we would get in our careers if we just faked being a gay couple that was making videos together.
Dude, you can make
Because
like
they're like,
you can make like an ARG, like an AR, like ARG, but not like a scary one, but like a comedy one.
true. Well, that guy's not around anymore. But it is you know it's weird you pointing that out like you're joking, but I do think about it. It's like it is one thing I hate about a lot of like the regressives is that they'll just embrace people based off that aspects, but they don't care about the arguments made by certain people. And like, oh, you're gay. Wow, you're so interesting now that you're gay. You're black. Wow. It's like this old Saturday Night Live sketch with Steve Martin where they're on this TV show and everything that people come on and do, they react to it really crazy. They're like, that's incredible. And this black guy comes on and they're like, oh my God, you're black? How long have you been this way? And he's like, well, since I was born. And they're like, what? That's incredible. You know, they're so excited to be around a black person. I mean, I have a theory about this. I think these people I have a theory. I think these people that are really regressives, I think a lot of them actually have very little interactions with black people or gay people or more minorities and stuff, as much as they have like a certain group they probably hang out with that agrees with them.
They probably have an acquaintance that's black that they met that one time at that one party, and that's enough for them. You know, that's enough for them.
That seems to be it, because the ones I meet in real life and the ones I see in these videos, they seem to always be like, because they do the echo chamber thing. It's like, just because you went to a university and met some like really really leftist like black cool hipster kid or something, it's like that doesn't mean that you now understand black culture or that because like I lived in an area there's a lot of black people, there's a lot of Hispanic people, a lot of gay people. I live, I mean, you live down in Texas. There's a lot of different. I mean, depending on where
Yeah,
you live in
Texas
Texas.
Texas is very diverse, believe it or not.
But yeah, I grew up there and I was around all that different stuff. So you see the bad and good in the cultures of everything, and that doesn't mean that's not a racist statement. That's just saying like there's just sociological things. There's just things that keep people in certain ways. And I mean, Texas is just what it is. You throw a bunch of people together in a fucking state and just say, hey, figure it out on your own. Black people and white people and Mexicans figure it out. Um, and
Hey,
Asians.
yeah, you're fixing to say, don't forget about the Asians. Don't forget about
No, there
them.
is Asians out.
I'm,
But then I move up here and I meet all these white people in these small rural towns, and they're telling me about all the struggles of these people, and they don't know any. They know like two or something, and they think now they understand it all because they saw a BuzzFeed video with some guy doing a gay voice, and now they think like, oh man, I got to care about gay people. It's like what? It's a pretty shallow
Yeah,
care
that's a
if you
pretty
just
shallow if you have to like only care when someone tells you like the troubles. I mean, I get like if you live in a pretty sheltered life and you don't think about it a whole lot, but there's authentically caring about people and having empathy towards their cause and appropriating it because you want to just be outraged. And that's what these
yeah.
regressives do. These regressives don't actually have like authentic empathy and care of these people. They can't sympathize because they live a sheltered life, right? They live a
Hmm.
sheltered life where they fit every other norm in there, but they don't want to be that way, so they don't. They just appropriate other people's struggle, if you will, right?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think you nailed it when it's like they want to have something that gives them more meaning, so they just take from someone else's thing that they can say is like an issue. Like, I mean, I love it that women, if you're a woman, you're automatically oppressed. I mean, I've seen so many videos or reactions to Trump winning that's been just women saying like, "I'm a woman, you don't understand what this means," and I'm like, well, a lot of women voted for Trump, and then you get like and the on the Young Turks, they're like, "Fuck women who voted for Trump."
Yeah,
I
it's
have
like it's
no
like
respect for
you
it.
only matter if you fit their mold, the mold that they pre make for you, right? Like to me, and you can kind of this may be a tangent, but like you look at like people who wanted Hillary because she was a woman, right? Well, that's not very feminist if you think about it, because she's literally one of the worst politicians to ever exist in the United States. She's one of the worst ever. Right? Very polarizing. No matter what you think of her, she's very polarizing. So, but just wanting her because she's a woman is very like to me. That's the opposite of feminism. That's like that's I don't know. I really can't put it into words. But that's the opposite of it, because you should want one that actually has quality and actually authentically believes in your cause and your troubles, right? That's just me.
Mm-hmm.
So people who voted for Trump weren't sexist because they voted for him, based on that reason. They just thought he was a better candidate. They can't quite understand that.
Well, that's what it was weird because I was having a conversation with a buddy yesterday, and he was trying to. It was kind of a moral discussion, and it was like he's like, "Well, how could people get over the stuff Trump did?" And then I said, "Well, how could people get over the stuff Clinton did?" And then he was like it was jarring to him. I even brought that up, and it was like, "Well,
Yeah.
you don't want to think about it from that point of view at all. That why people have issues with her. You're always focused on
Well,
your issues with him."
yeah. It's just like people just we shouldn't get on this tangent. We discussed this last time, I know, but like
Yeah.
people just could not understand that people did not like her. They thought because in their mind they saw her as perfect. Right? In their mind they saw her as perfect, and they can't understand that other people do. The other people didn't see that. Other people saw that the WikiLeaks and the DNC leaks and just her ties to just the Saudis and Wall Street and all these different corrupting factors, and they're just like, no, no thanks, no, I'm good.
Also, why did feminism decide to champion a woman who's always rode on the back of men to get ahead in a political career that has been a failure if you take away the men that have given her positions of power? I mean, we really have to say that. I mean, Hillary Clinton is the complete opposite of the feminist idea because she has to use men to become someone. I mean, if you take away the Clinton last name off her, I don't even know if we would know who she is right now,
Well,
you
I
know?
mean, I guess because I mean
It's
she had her other dealings before she was first lady, but she was in the spotlight because of what happened during her husband's administration. So
well,
I
yeah,
don't
but a
think it
lot
would
of the
have
jobs
near as much
like
impact, like you're saying. It would near as much impact if she say if George H. would have won re-election instead of Clinton winning, right? She probably would have been forgotten or whatever, right? We can't really play the alternate history game because we don't really know.
no, I'm not talking about popularity as much as I'm saying like I just think politically she'd be pretty much a nobody right now. The only reason we know Hillary Clinton is because her husband gave her jobs to do when she was with her husband, and she was very bad at a lot of these. Let's not forget she spoiled universal health care, and that had a lot to do with Hillary, not just with evil House of
Oh,
Congress.
I would like to know where Bernie Sanders was when I tried to get it passed in the 90s. Right behind you. That's where.
Um, yeah, Hillary, and yeah, Obama gives her a job when
Well,
she loses.
he gave her the job because that was what the endorsement was like to trade for. Like, oh, I'll endorse you if you give me Secretary of State, right?
Yeah,
Well,
but the funny thing
regardless,
was that she
regardless,
kept saying she was going to retire if she didn't win that election.
well, call me to call it now. She's probably going to try and run in 2020.
God, it'd be crazy, senile
And
old
and
ass
and,
Hillary
and
Clinton.
if the DNC doesn't say, nah, we're good, good. We don't want to do that again, right? If they don't do that, then they're done. They're dead. They're DOA.
I mean, it's funny. I was even, from what I know information wise now from the stuff I've seen WikiLeaks and that, it seems like they weren't even allowed, the Democrats, to really set up any new candidates to build up over the last 4 years because Hillary pretty much just was like, hey, no, this is mine.
Well, I mean,
I'm the fuck.
that's pretty much it, I think, because I think Bernie was like this, oh, this shock that he did so good, and then he did good. He kept on doing good, right? He kept on winning stuff and winning people's hearts and minds, and he won New Hampshire. He came really close in Iowa, and that was a thorn in their side. They didn't expect him to do good, right? Because he was this independent from Vermont, and he comes in here and just like takes a spotlight away from her, right? And he was proposing policy, and then she was like just backpedaling and saying, "Oh, I'm a woman. There you go." That's
Well,
good
that's
enough,
what I
right?
always bring up. Hillary was shit at talking about policies,
She
like
did. What
always.
she never discussed policy. That was two people that discussed policy. This one was Bernie and Donald Trump,
I
right?
know that's what the whole. It was like a big. It was like this. Like they both had these like very simple political philosophies, and they presented it very simply to people in
I mean,
public.
what did like what Ted Cruz was like? I love Jesus. I love Jesus, and that was it. That's his whole
Yeah.
shtick. That was his whole shtick, right?
I love Jesus.
I am your
Jesus.
traditional Republican. I love Jesus. My
No,
dad
Ted
my,
Cruz.
my dad didn't kill JFK, and I'm not the Zodiac killer, so fuck off. He didn't say
But if
that.
he was the Zodiac killer, though,
I mean, he would have had more cred though. He would have had more cred.
I'd have voted for him just for that alone. Like if he sent like those letters, the cryptography or whatever it
Who
was to ISIS or something, like the
who
newspaper clippings.
who would have been
This is Ted Cruz.
who would have been his running mate, like the Night Stalker in L.A. or like
Well, we don't know what Ben Carson does in his free time. He could have been the Night Stalker.
he could have been like one of these serial killers that like haunts our highway system. Could be.
But Ben Carson's a real anomaly in life. This guy's a neurosurgeon. Like I brought this up to my friends that like this guy, the stuff that he had to do in school would be Chinese to me. Like this man is smarter than me in a lot of ways, and I have to acknowledge that, right? Just to be intellectually honest. But then he says insane things
He just
that you shouldn't say, and it proves to me like the like intelligent people are not more right just because they're
Well, like
intelligent.
intelligence is very subjective, and what I mean by
Yeah.
that is the people like you can be really smart, like you could be a really smart computer scientist and have like be absolutely retarded when it comes to electrical engineering, right?
Hmm.
Or any engineering other than computer engineering, right? Or that sounded kind of dumb, I'm sure, but you get my point. Like, there's intelligence does not grant you this blanket over every field, right? And
Yeah.
for Ben Carson, it wasn't politics. He's a brilliant neurosurgeon, right? Maybe that doesn't translate into political prowess and intelligence. Just maybe.
It was just so strange because the stuff that really held him back was stuff that I just don't feel like a scientist type person would say, a medical person. I guess someone who's because he has to be a scientific person in a lot of ways. Obviously, if he's a fucking surgeon, I mean, dude knows biology and shit. He understands things. He understands neuroscience. I mean, he understands that stuff.
Yeah.
On a base level, he has to. So
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
it's weird.
our the human mind is, I think, we know what it is now, but when you look at its past and our like how it's evolved as humans have evolved from our different homeo whatever. I'm not like a biologist. I don't really know the proper term, but as we've evolved,
Homosexuals.
yes, exactly. We've evolved
So
from
Mac
that.
and Matt.
Yeah, you don't. I guess maybe he doesn't have to think about okay where our brain was 10,000, 30,000 years ago, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think what was weird about I will say this. I don't think he would have gotten as much shit if he had been on the left. I will say that. I think if he had been a black neurosurgeon on the left, they would have said like, "Oh, look at the diversity of the Democratic Party this year." Even if he said all that dumb shit he said, but then like, yeah, the Republican Party had like two Latinos and a black guy, and it was like, look at all these racists. That was like
Well,
the argument
it
for
wasn't even
Democrat.
that. Like the Republicans just had a giant shit show this year. They had like I can't. We were talking about this, but because it was so long ago. But they had Ben Carson, they had Ted Cruz.
I'm shocked Jeb Bush didn't win, honestly, at this
Jeb,
point right
Jeb,
now.
Jeb, because it's jab exclamation point. Anyway,
you're what is it? Weak jab or slow jab or stuff?
please clap.
Unenthusiastic.
Please clap. Please clap.
Well, Trump was brilliant at the fucking like at the insults in
Well,
that way. Like
he memed his way into the White House, and now he's gonna meme for 4 years.
oh, it's gonna be amazing. You know, like Lion Ted, and then it was like, damn you bastard.
How can I meme ISIS into submission? How
You know,
can
if we
I meme
defeat ISIS with memes, then Trump will go down as the greatest president in American history.
How can I negotiate NAFTA with memes?
What if we get them to think Muhammad is Pepe, and we can control?
It's like this is your Muhammad.
Yeah, this. We found him. Here he is.
We found this ancient scripture buried in some temple you guys almost destroyed. Think about this. You almost lost it. This is a Muhammad. This is him. This is a self-portrait of him. It's fucking Pepe.
A frog is God. I know. It's crazy. We thought it was weird too. You know, we could be like the Mormons for the Middle East. Like we just make up another chapter. We're like, hey, listen, there's this other book. Weird, right?
Weird, right? Right. Like the CIA goes in there and like they like spend decades trying to make this shit up, and like they find it. Like, oh, see what we found here? A new chapter.
Jesus.
This chapter and all it is like one sentence. Quit being dickheads. That's it. Signed.
It says "Make America Great Again" in the back. I don't. It's weird. It's a weird thing. You guys predicted this years ago. Some
crazy
fucking Nostradamus shit. You know. No. Well, I will say I do see foreign leaders being horrified of Donald Trump. Like if I was a terrorist and I saw that guy on television talking, I could certainly see like being like, I don't know about this. This one seems like a loose cannon.
We need to get into our article, seriously.
Yeah, sorry, go on the tangents. But I want to mention a couple things before we get into that because just to the channel. This is Scumbag, and he has a channel, Scumbag Entertainment, and I'll put a link in the description. Please go watch some of his videos or sub or whatnot, and go check him out. But if you want to watch his stuff first, that's fair.
Yeah.
But go check out his shit or give him a sub or something like that. So we will do that. Also, I just like to say as a little celebration, because it just happened before we record here, I now officially passed 100,000 views total on my YouTube account, which is awesome.
Woo!
I was waiting for this moment. Because that's the moment you're like, oh shit, maybe this can happen. So that's got to be just a thank you to everyone out there, because that's not just from that fucking Smugly Puff video. It's from the videos after that, and you guys like subscribing like motherfuckers and being really cool. And for the most part, there hasn't been a bunch of asshole comments. There's just been a few. Like, if we're going off averages here, it's been way more positive than negative. Although the negative one, sometime I showed Scumbag a comment yesterday that was like 3 fucking paragraphs telling me how I talk too much. and it was 3 fucking paragraphs. I was like, oh wow.
It can be summed up as you talk too much. Make the video shorter. The end.
So it's like, hey dude, just leave your comment. Yeah, he left me a fucking essay I had to really break down.
Maybe it was ironic and he was just trying to be funny. Like he's like, hey, you talk too much. Here's a 3-paragraph comment saying pretty much just that.
Hey, if he put that I mean, I'll say this. I gave him a very nice comment back. Like, because I know some people are going to say, I want to address this because a couple people brought up to me. They said, oh, you did that, you made fun of Grizzly Bear and you kept bringing up how the guy responded to negative comments. And one guy said, well, you responded to negative comments. Like, my responses were not what he was doing, where he was just telling people cry white tears and stuff. I actually, like, respond back to the points brought up and talk to you in a conversational way. Like, I'm not trying to get in an argument with somebody on a YouTube comment section on my video. Like, if you don't like the video and you want, I'll address your issue. Like, everyone bitched about the microphone, got a new microphone, even though everyone keeps posting about the microphone on that video. And that's really becoming... Hey, get a new mic, bro. Need to work on that. Oh shit, this is kind of like, even though it's over, this is like our holiday Thanksgiving episode, too.
Yeah, or as the SJWs call it, National Slaughtering of Innocent People Day. Because Canadians don't celebrate or anything either.
Well, yeah, today it was my turn because it was every 4 years so you have to switch out. It was my turn to kill the Indian before dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And when they brought him in, Cracker Sky.
Let me ask you this: like when you brought him in, was you like all dressed in like hooded robes and like masks, like out of like eyes wide shut? Was it like that, or were you just like brought him in like and killed him?
Well, I love that you know movies enough. You can be like Eyes Wide Shut. I'm like, yes, yes. Um, but no, well, no, we made him wear traditional garments because I wanted to be historically as accurate as possible.
It's like, dude, I'm just some guy from New Jersey, man. I don't like I'm Native American, but I work at like a gas station. Like I don't know any of this shit.
Dude, I'm only like 12%. The rest of me is fucking Irish and shit. What are you getting at here? I mean, I work at a my name's Phil. You know,
My
Phil, sit on the
dad, my
fucking
dad
table.
is my dad is white. My mother is also white. But like a long time ago, an Indian was there, or Native American. I'm sorry. So
And
fuck
fucked my
off.
mom something. Somewhere in India and fucked your relatives. Um, but yeah, I happy Turkey Day to everyone out there, even though it's over. But I hope you guys all had a Thanksgiving and you're very, very thankful for being fucking American,
Mega baby,
bastards.
mega baby.
Which article do you want to do first?
Um. Well, I mean, you wanted to talk about some Swedish hotline. I kind of made a joke about it at first, but we ran it on a tangent too much. So let's do
Ooh,
that one first.
Swedish hotline, you say? See, problem is him saying that makes it sound like it's gonna be sexy or something like ooh, a Swedish hotline, and but then you're gonna hear and you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
that's not good. So this was not covered really by anyone on any of the YouTube accounts or anything, and I thought everyone would talk about this because I think it only lasted a week, but okay, so Sweden, the SJW capital of the world, and I think it's pretty safe to say that at this point that Sweden is like the center stone of
Although
the.
although Germany is giving a run for its money.
True. I will say that once again the Germans are being very competitive.
And
Because...
that's as you know, that's very dangerous.
So this is from USA Today. The original article I was going to get was from New York Times, but I've just decided unless I'm completely criticizing the writing, I'm not going to use New York Times articles anymore because I'm really done with them. I mean I won't go on a rant here, but I don't think the New York Times is going to be a paper in 10 years. Let me just put it that way. And I think they could have stayed alive in an online sense, and they're just killing themselves based off some of the most awful writing and reporting and biased. I mean, even ever since Trump's been like elected, every fucking day there's like 12, 15 different articles about how Trump's going to end the world. Like, and it's just like Jesus Christ, stop it. Like, oh my God, because I just think in my head if Hillary would have won, every article would be the complete opposite about all the positive things happening. And yeah, like you said earlier, we'll get to there's a story with Reddit earlier, but even the editor, I think the editor in chief of the New York Times even wrote a statement and apologized about the biased media coverage. But so this is from USA Today. Yay. Besides
Ew.
their name's American. Okay. So Sweden just opened a mansplaining hotline. Yeah, that's right. They have a hotline for mansplaining. A new hotline in Sweden allows women to call in about mansplaining when men give unscalded advice to women at work because they think they know better. Mansplaining by now you've probably had it splained to you, but just in case, here's Swedish gender expert Christina Knight on the subject. Oh, great, a gender expert.
Yeah, because we totally need those.
That like, as anyone who doesn't know this, a gender studies from a gender studies, they're I'm not gonna say they're a snake oil salesman, but they're basically full of shit. They're a pseudoscientist.
Well, I mean,
They don't.
all they end up going into is like what human resource fields. Like they end up getting hired by a company to do human resources. So they end up just filling out like claims for like workers' comp and insurance and stuff like that. That's all they end
They're
up doing.
basically Toby from The Office.
Yeah, and fuck Toby. And fuck Toby, by the way.
Uh, oh, Michael, no. Okay, I love this too, mansplaining. By now, you probably had it explained to you, but just it's like I've honestly, I love the concept is that because I think the original they might get an article, but there was the original. Do you remember the original? It was something some blog some woman wrote in '08, and that's where the term came from. Or
Yeah, yeah, I
she wrote a
remember.
she was a writer, and some guy was explaining her book to her, and he didn't know she wrote it. I think
Uh,
so. Then she coined the term mansplaining, which then every woman decided then meant that only men do that, that women never condescendingly talk down to you.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
gotta say, I think I've had more women. This is just anecdotal, so it doesn't really matter. But I think I've had more women be condescending to me and explain stuff like that.
well, the whole concept's anecdotal.
Yeah.
Like it's a, like these are my problem with these gender studies people, or the people who that when they try to, these are like huffing it, but like the science for this stuff is, it's like, well, hey, a lot of women say they don't like this, so it's a problem, so we need to address it. It's like, oh, well, okay, I don't like, I don't like Michael Bay gets to make movies, but I can't like do anything. I can't call a hotline. Like, oh man, they're doing Transformers 5. I thought he was gonna quit after the fourth one. What do I do? And they're like, hey, it's okay, don't worry. Don't worry, we won't Bay-splain to you. Um, so let's listen to this gender expert, Christine at Night, a gender expert, which is, this is making me laugh because it makes me think about the Smugly Puff guy that was talking to the Jordan Peterson that was a gender studies teacher, and he said Jordan Peterson was like a terrorist because he didn't want to use the pronouns.
Yeah.
I think often it's experienced as a sort of condescending exercise whereby the woman feels that the man feels a need to explain in perhaps a patronizing or condescending way, where the woman hasn't actually asked to be informed, and perhaps the woman might actually already be more knowledgeable or more well informed on the subject.
Well,
Wow.
that's actually really good though, because I never had that term explained so condescending to me. Like,
No,
was that on purpose? Like she sits there and says, "Oh, it's men being condescending." Let me be condescending about explaining it to you, though. Fuck off.
no, I call this vag-splaining. I've said this in videos, vag-splaining. It's when these people, they talk about mansplaining and they explain it to you just like the argument they use for mansplaining, but as a woman doing it to you as a man. They're telling you. I mean, a gender expert, that literally means you're probably someone who thinks you can tell me things about gender pronouns and all these things that I don't have to agree with you on. And science doesn't agree with you either. Yay. I love biology.
Well, science
But
is only relevant when it's told by a woman who is a feminist, so you should have known that wouldn't matter.
or Bill Nye, because they had to get a guy who was wrote kids books and did a kids show to talk to people because they weren't good enough to come on and explain shit to people. They were
Yeah.
too dumb. They had
Well,
to get a kid's team. They're like, listen, we need you to talk down to these people like children. They don't understand science.
that's pretty much it.
That's how I've always felt about the Bill Nye. I said one day on my Facebook, and I got shit for it. And this thing, I'm not knocking Bill Nye. I don't hate Bill Nye, but I said Bill Nye's like, I can't remember what I compared him to, but I said he was like he's like fast food science or something. I said he's like a fast food pop science guy, and
Well,
because I see most people who love him, that's the only scientist they know or give a shit about is Bill Nye the Science Guy,
well,
and he's not a scientist, an engineer, but that's science. But
it's some most scientists are very like introverted. They don't want to
yeah,
like, and then you get someone like Bill Nye who's very extroverted. Someone like astrophysics black guy. I mean Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Jesse Thompson.
Yeah, he's that way too because he's he can sit there and talk about and joke about it stuff, and he knows all about it. So he's their spokesperson while also being a scientist. They're not super common though.
No. Well, I know it's tough to explain science to children in particular. I know Bill Nye has a skill for that. But yeah, it is funny because that's basically what they hired him to do. They hire him to come up and explain shit to people like they're children. Like very I mean, I've seen him on so many interviews and I'm like, Jesus, Bill Nye. Unfortunately, he was on John Oliver and yeah,
We'll just
ugh.
not comment on that.
Yeah, I tweeted about John Oliver today. I said he's like the poster child for a person who uses their accent to pretend to be smart.
To be
Because
fair,
that's how
to be fair, most British people do this. They really can't help it. You can't really knock them on it.
I don't really disagree with you on that at all. It's one of my like most hated things about like British humor or how Brits even act on social media. I found on a lot of my, I'm not saying because I know I have British fans, but a lot of you motherfuckers are bastards. Son of a bitch. You guys, you guys think you're on a whole other fucking level for me as an American.
Even if they're the nicest people, they kind of have to do it sometimes. It's part of their nature. Just you gotta look past it.
Oh, don't worry about it. It is all right, you know. You're just not smart enough to get it, man.
Oh shit.
In other words, it's when a man. I love this article still explaining it. In other words, it's when a man A. Assumes a woman knows nothing. B. Over-explains something obvious or not even worthy of explanation. And or C. Likes the sound of his own voice.
Piss
So
off,
basically,
dude. Piss off. I mean, seriously. Anecdotal evidence must just like like when they make a definition for a word, they have like a scientific experiment. They just don't run it once. They don't run it twice. They run it a bunch of times so they know it's right. See, you're sitting there thinking that all men are this way because one of them did it to you. Kill yourself. Seriously.
well, also, I love the whole thing. Yeah, swallow a knife, you fuckers. But this is to the whole country of Sweden, please. But no, no, this thing here, like, I hate this because if you're a Swedish woman and believe you've been mansplained for this week only, you can call a mansplaining hotline to vent. This is no joke. One of Sweden's largest trade unions, Union, set up the hotline. It's a very weird word to say, union.
Like, oh, okay, why is your life that fragile that you need a hotline for that? There are people who are like suicidal and they're thinking about killing themselves. They need a hotline to talk with somebody to talk them off that ledge, right?
Wait, scumbag. We'll go through the scenario. I will be a woman calling in that I got mansplained to, and you be the hotline operator
Okay.
and calm me down. Okay, you have to save me in my time of need.
Okay.
Okay. Ring, ring. Okay. Hi, is this Union?
Yeah.
I was at work today, and I messed up some paperwork, and I didn't mean to. It just happened. I wasn't paying attention. Maybe I didn't get enough coffee. But then my boss came over and he was really mad at me for doing this. So he explained to me how I shouldn't do it. And I know I shouldn't do it, but god damn it, he had to tell me anyway. What do I do?
I don't know. I mean, is that really that big a deal? You fucked up, bro. And fucking deal with it, dude. I said out loud, shit, I'm sorry. I meant to say, kill yourself.
Well, don't hire Scumbag to be a hotline.
That wasn't very good acting, was it?
No, I think you were legit trying to tell me to kill myself with subliminal messaging or something.
See, I'm not that kind of hotline operator. I'm kind of the opposite of that.
Baby,
husband. It's like you call a suicide hotline, and I'm the one that talks you into doing it. Like, you weren't really considering, you're just kind of like really unsure about it. I end up talking you into it. I'd be a really good I do really good in dealership situations. I'm trying to sell something. It's like, you don't really know if you want this car or not. Well, I'm gonna talk you into it, right? Well, I also can do bad things with my superpowers, so be careful.
I like your premise here, like a horror movie where a guy works for a suicide hotline to get people to kill themselves.
Yeah,
What's his way of persuasion? Like, he gets them to do it. Do it. Well, how's work going? Oh, it's great, Phil. Do it. Hey, listen, send me your video game consoles, your car keys. You're not gonna need that stuff, dude.
Yeah, send it
Fuck
to,
it,
send it to me, or send it to I don't know, somebody. Just don't waste it, don't be a waste.
Watch Lethal Weapon, when Riggs is gonna kill himself? Well, do that scene, except actually do it.
This is fucked.
You're in the trailer and you put the gun to your head, actually pull the trigger. But if you want to be Riggs, it's cool.
Oh man, I think we're taking this joke a little too far, man.
Yeah, no, it's getting a little dead. Knight, who consults with Swedish companies to make them more diverse and gender equal, is one of the operators taking calls. Man, I wish this wasn't done. I would have called in. The calls have come in from all over Sweden, and I've had pretty much 50-50 men and women calling in, which is interesting and good.
Wait,
so what?
Men call in too? What the fuck?
So there's self-hating men out there, these motherfuckers.
Well, no, that doesn't surprise me. What surprises me is I thought mansplaining was only for women. I thought men couldn't appropriate that oppression.
Well, doesn't that make the whole title seem like it's a bad title then? Unless they're saying only men do it.
Hey, it's almost like we already have a word for this. It's called explaining something. Fuck.
No, I think these are probably
that
people...
That word did not used to have gender involved with it, right? God damn.
Well, also, how many of these people was it actually a bad situation, or did they actually need something explained to them and they were just, I mean, because we've all had this, your parents did this to you, everyone's parents have done this, is when they tell you some shit you already know, and they tell you it anyway for like the 90th fucking time that fucking week or something, and you're like, yeah, I fucking get it, Dad, I know. And then you move on. Like, people do that kind of shit. Your teachers will fucking do it. Authoritarian figures your whole life will fucking do that kind of shit. A lot of people repeat things through repetition to get because it's supposed to burn into your head more. And yeah, it's annoying. I get it. But like, what, you're gonna call a hotline to calm down about it because you're so stressed about it? Like, your work life's so bad. Can you not eat? Can you not fuck? Are you not able to get up in the morning and make it through your day because you're so traumatized by the idea of getting mansplained to?
You know, I don't want to like turn this on like to a depressing note, but we already kind of have, I guess. But like, going back to the suicide hotline thing, there are people who are legitimately upset and feel like they need to talk to somebody about that. And like, there are people who like they get so triggered about like mansplaining, and then there are people who get triggered about PTSD and shit. All right, people who actually have problems in their life. That all diminishes this shit when you get triggered by stupid dumb shit like this.
Well, this reminds me of back when Maury was on, and they'd have the phobia people on, and it'd be like aluminum foil and stuff. And
Foil.
yeah, and they'd come crunch it up, and she'd be like, "No, no, no, don't do it! Ah, the foil!" And that's how I feel. It's like these are children
Well,
that
I
want
mean,
to get
you
attention on reality
even
TV.
even like the aluminum foil shit, like that could be like a legitimate phobia for
Yeah,
somebody.
yeah, yeah, of
But like
course.
this isn't. These people cannot be that fucking triggered in their life that when a man explains something to them, condescending or not, that hurts them. They have to be faking. This has to be some type of joke. Like, it can't be that bad.
Wait, maybe Sweden's trolling us. That's possible. She says people range from those who want simply to applaud the initiative to those looking for actual strategies for responding to a mansplainer. Okay, so then it's just cut guys calling in like, really happy with what you've been doing. Keep it up. Good job. Knight says, I had one wonderful call from a man in his 30s. He told Knight that his sister had asked him to talk to her sons, ages 13 and 10, about mansplaining. I thought that was such a great thing to do, and not least for the man to take on this responsibility. He wanted tips and advice from the hotline on what to say to his nephews so they wouldn't grow up to be mansplainers.
Oh, dude, you know what I'm gonna do tomorrow? This article has pissed me off so much that I'm going to like just explain things to women all day tomorrow. I am just gonna trigger so many women. It's gonna be the triggering of 2016 all over, man.
All right, Billy. All right, Michael. You're at that age now. We have to talk about the change in life, the birds and the bees, what's going on. But mainly, mansplaining.
And don't you ever fucking do it. Woman has a
You guys
problem in
do
life,
that.
tell her to figure out her fucking self.
Yeah, I mean, like, why would you tell? Why?
It's like I would explain it to you. I would explain it to you, but figure out yourself.
Well, I want to know what the concept is that what's that supposed to teach children? Like, couldn't he just sit down and say, "Hey, when you grow up, don't try to be condescending to people or talk down to them and try to hear what they have to say. Instead, you have to say that as a man, you could grow up being a mansplainer." Like
Oh,
the New York Times article was like this at the beginning, how they wrote it. It was like you know what it is. You know, not every man does this, but you know the ones who do. They never write articles like that about women. I've never in my life in the last well, maybe my life, but the last couple years, right? The last couple years of this SJW shit, you will rarely find an article that's like women suck because of this thing, and they use some bullshit like completely subjective argument to try to explain why women suck. Like Return of Kings or something, a site like that, like an actual like misogynist website, right? Like it makes no sense when they do this. It's like, if you reverse this, if you wrote the same thing out about women, about like let's say like how women could be bitchy or something, right? Like a stereotype about women that they're bitches. And then you wrote like, hey, you have to tell your daughters not to grow up to be bitches someday.
it's like I don't know if you heard that article, but like a long time ago, it was actually probably a few months ago, I think. And they had this assembly in the school somewhere, and it was these men. It's like these. They're like probably in middle school, right? I think they made these boys pledge to not hit a woman in their life, right? Okay, that'd only be acceptable if you sit down all the girls and tell them to not throw their future babies in the trash can, right? That's a stereotype that women do. That's a pretty dumb one too. But you did one for men, so you gotta do that one too. Just saying.
Well, Hamilton's a good example of hypocrisy that I've experienced in my life. There's a college. I live in a college town. They were going to put a play here called Jesus in India, which is a hilarious title, but there's no Asian kids in this area, and so everyone that was playing the parts were white actors, right? Which is completely fine in theater, if you know theater at all. That is not an issue.
No, it's a big problem, dude. That's whitewashing. Check your privilege.
But basically, the guy who wrote the play, he told the school the week before they were going to perform it that they couldn't do it. This was after a $15,000 production cost. They put a lot of money in to put this play on, right? The guy told them a week before, after the money was spent and everything. And then he wrote this bullshit thing and got attacked by everyone, including me. I was very vocal about it at the time. And then everyone that tried to tell me why he did it was like, well, hey, this white guy just played Martin Luther King on this play, so everyone's real upset about that. Okay, a few months later, there's this play that opens up that everyone loves called Hamilton. Wow, all these black people are playing historical founding fathers that were white. Huh. Is anyone mad? No, regressives love Hamilton. I'm not saying shit, I like Hamilton, but it's funny that as soon as it's reversed, it's not only not an issue, it's progressive and artistic and passionate and beautiful to have black people play the founding fathers, but to have white people play other races is immediately like, no, dude, Jesus, don't do that. I mean, I once suggested when I was younger to do a production of Roots where the slave owners were black and the slaves were white. And everyone told me it was racist. And that really wasn't the point. I wanted to take the color out of it and show the humanity side of it.
Yeah, you could make it about like Romans, because they had like poor people were slaves, right?
Yeah.
And color was irrelevant. Like if you were poor, you were a tribe that had lost to the Roman Empire, right? You were enslaved, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your men were enslaved to be warriors. Your boys were, I should say, elderly were killed. Not always. That's more of a stereotype. But, and the women were, they could be sold into slavery too, right?
Mm-hmm.
That slavery isn't just this thing that black people experienced, right? It's a thing over history that's been, I don't want to diminish it. It was awful that it happened in the United States the way it did, right? But it's happened over centuries, right? It's happened over centuries.
It's still happening.
Yes, and slavery is still a thing that happens today. Sex slavery and just awful things happen, right? Race has to do with it, sure, in a way, but over history, it really doesn't.
I'd say it's more with civilizations than class.
It's more with civilizations and poverty, right? If you were poor, I mean, think about, like, you had, like, in the United States, you had indentured servants, right? Those are people that were too poor to, like, they were essentially slaves. Their working conditions were similar to that, but they were employees, really. But still, their treatment was basically slavery.
Well, it's just here's my issue with, because I agree with what you're saying so much, because what you're ultimately saying, I agree with this, is that people always act like every bad thing that America did is exclusive to America, and we're supposed to feel so much worse about the things we do here that everyone else has done throughout history. Like, I don't know why we're so much worse than everything else. Like, every civilization went and conquered somebody, they killed a bunch of people.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has blood on their hands. You cannot find a country to this day that does not have blood on its hands in somewhere in its history.
Nobody here has an ancestor that couldn't be traced back that did something shitty at one point and throughout.
Every human being can do that.
You have a rapist, a murderer, someone in your family somewhere. Somebody that was in your bloodline did those things, And that's just, they don't want to accept that. It's just normal things.
Or you had a mansplainer at some point. That's the worst. That they can trace your lineage back. Oh man, I had no criminals, no like, there's nothing bad in my family except for Jim here, my great granduncle. Yeah, he was a mansplainer. Fuck Jim.
Knight says, remarkably, Knight says she personally hasn't received any calls from disgruntled Swedish men, but she knows that there has been some backlash.
No, there hasn't.
Yeah, not like we're doing a podcast right now, like, fuck it. after it's over. There's been quite an intense debate in social media, and I know that was expected from Union. It's always the case when you discuss gender equality. No, it's usually because the people who say things like that are like dumb, and we just have to make fun of you.
We have to make fun and call you out because your bullshit can't be undiscussed. It has to be.
Well, the truth has to win. I was talking about this with somebody the other day. They go, "Why do you always feel the need to like not be opinionated, but express your opinion or give your point of view when somebody's?" I was like, "Well, hey, if somebody's saying they're saying something that I don't believe in really as truth, like if it's their opinion on something, that's fine. But they're saying like, no, we need a hotline to explain mansplaining. I'm like, I don't agree with your premise, so let's. I'll listen to you, but." She says men sometimes interrupt the subject of gender equality as an attack on them, which is exactly what it is, and that's all it's been this whole time. The gender equality argument has been nothing but an attack on cis white males or whatever the fuck we like. Legitimately, every video they make on BuzzFeed, all the guys are gay. There's never straight guys in these videos. It's always minorities. It's always I mean,
Oh no,
and they
they
were
had that white people have questions for white people thing that was like
yeah.
super dumb. It was like it was easily the dumbest when they had that fuck this kid that he kind of looks like me a little bit. He's got that pretty average kind of look going to him, but he was like super condescending. Like he was like, "Can't you guys understand that we can't be number one at everything?" And I'm like, "What? What?"
Yeah, no, BuzzFeed's whole video series is straw man the
No,
videos. Like they
dude,
make up
BuzzFeed's
something that
whole
doesn't
video
exist.
series is like the number one leading cause of cancer in the United States. The CDC
Which
just
is
the CDC hasn't linked it yet, but they will.
let's
Guaranteed.
move down to the bottom of this. Let's see if we can find some information on this so we can move on here because we've actually really gotten some length out of this that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
Oh, social democrats really support the first feminist Sweden's the world's first feminist government with the social democrats returned to power in 2014. The country has a minister for children, the elderly, and gender equality. Oh, like Emma Watson's gender equality speeches that are fucking painful to watch and listen to. Knight acknowledges Sweden's way ahead of the gender equality front, but says the concern with mansplaining came from Swedes themselves. So wait, they're saying Sweden's got the best gender equality in the world, like just because their population isn't comparable to other places, or okay, Sweden's better than everyone else, I guess.
You know,
The specific,
we need to move on, I think. But the one thing I gotta say about Sweden here is I don't know where you guys got it wrong. You guys have some of the best music there is. I mean, you have like ABBA, you have Ghost, you have like this really good range of like talented musicians in your country, right? And then
mm-hmm.
you're full of cucks. Your entire country's full of cucks, though. Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, make up your mind. Do you want to be this country that has this rich musical history full of like talented, award-winning artists, right? Really beloved artists, right?
I think Bergman and all that's from,
Yeah, I mean, you're
yeah.
also great. You got filmmakers. I mean, you had like, there's just so much about Sweden I just don't understand, right? You guys have this really good history of art and just this really talented artists come from your country, and then you do shit like this. I don't understand you.
Well, they've politically just been completely taken over by regressives and the philosophies. I mean, the fact that they're, I mean, and it's scary because it's I mean, it's really what was happening to America the last few years is like when they had Emma Watson. I mean, all this stuff was like Sweden. They were trying to make America like Sweden, like gender equality. Gender equality is the number one issue. But this last paragraph, I'll finish with this. So, how do you deal with the mansplainer? I think it's important to talk to the person who's explaining you to this and say, now she's saying this is what you should say to someone who's mansplaining. If somebody said this to me, I would say to them after they say this to me, I'd go, fuck you, and I'd walk away, and if it was a guy, I'd have a hard time not slapping them after saying fuck you. You know something, I'm experienced now that you're talking down to me or telling me something that I actually really know quite a lot about, and I'd appreciate next time if you perhaps would start our conversation by asking me whether I'd like to know more. If I need to know more, I already know what I need to know. So basically, you now have to ask people if they know about things before you bring up things and start talking about them, things that you have information on. You need to ask permission first from the person that you're talking to if it's a woman. So just letting you guys know that's the lesson we're supposed to take from
Yeah.
this. Thanks, Sweden.
Thanks,
You
Sweden.
fuckers.
Cucks.
Yeah, yeah, they're not Canada, Canada, I guess it's Canadian's easier to say, but Canada, but Sweden is like, I mean, basically, it would be a really cool place to live if it wasn't like that. That's the only thing that really makes me like, yeah, fuck Sweden. I probably wouldn't mind living there except for the SJW. Like they're like SJWs here, except like it's like crack. It's like even more so. Even though, as far as I know, Sweden's mostly white people, so I don't know why they act like they're not white like we are. Like you guys are kind of like
It's like
white as fuck.
all these people said they're gonna move to Canada when Trump wins. It's like, dude, Canada's mostly white people. You'd be in a less diverse country. What are you,
Yeah, why
racist?
don't you move to
What
Mexico?
are you, racist? You guys are
Why doesn't
racist?
Lena Dunham and Amy Schumer can move to Mexico? Do you want to cover the UK porn thing?
Yeah, yeah. Apparently, Britain does not like. Well, Britain doesn't like a lot of things, right? But apparently, the British government, and this is something that happened a while back too. They kind of started this a few years ago, but it didn't really go anywhere, I don't think. But this is a story that was released. I'm reading on the Independent here. I'll leave a link in the description to it. It was published the 23rd of November, so not too long ago, a couple days ago. But it's in porn websites in the UK will be banned from showing a huge range of sex acts under proposed new law. And basically, I mean, I'm not going to read the whole article, but they are proposing a bill that requires websites to have an age gate. And you see this sometimes in the U.S. when you're looking at porn. Especially if it's a U.S. based company, you'll see it if you're in the U.K. looking at the website too. And that's essentially what they're doing. But then they're doing something like this. Such restrictions, including the four-finger rule, for instance, which limits the number of digits that can be placed into a orifice on video. So let me read that again. Four-finger rule. That means the only four fingers, right? That's too much. That's too much. It has to be three.
Four fingers.
Some reason, some fucking reason. Three isn't a bad number, but four, that's pretty bad, right?
Yeah, four's too many. Four's when you're stepping into that like danger zone.
Like that's like Jesus might cry or something. I don't know, but
Like bite the pillow, you know.
bite the pillow. But I kind of wanted to discuss this because in the first episode of this podcast, we kind of wanted to make it clear that we weren't going to just make fun of liberals here, because this is definitely a conservative issue here. This is like, think of the children in the UK. So we got to make fun of them too. So what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I'm not a big fan of the UK. I mean, I know, I don't. God, I hate this because it sounds.
Are there any countries you like besides the US? You seem to bitch about them all, dude.
I know, no, people really do give me that I'm like a nationalist or something, but it's just here's. I guess the issue is that I think America is kind of like an anomaly in the world, and people don't want to acknowledge that. Like we're the only country that's very specifically the way we are. But my problem with it, I mean, it's weird. I feel like a lot of these other countries, what happened is that like history didn't favor them to this point, right? And they're still carrying a lot of that. I mean, really, America doesn't have. We don't focus on tragedy here. They want us to focus on it a lot.
Maybe,
But we don't.
maybe.
Well, we have a back and forth. There's not day to day life. I don't think me and you are that affected by much about our history of America.
That I agree on that. And that the reason I do that's because I don't think we should say like there's a terrorist attack, right? I don't think we should let that dictate how our lives go. Like when 9/11 happened, we changed so much in our laws that I think hurt our freedom. Right? I think you'd agree with that too.
Yeah, of course.
And I think that was the wrong way to go, right? And of course, when the towers fell, we rebuilt something, put a memorial there. I think the best memorial would have been to rebuild the towers, right? Rebuild them exactly how they were, maybe give them a new paint job or whatever, right? But that would have been the biggest fuck you to terrorism in Al Qaeda because okay, we're gonna do exactly what we did before, rebuild it, because we're not gonna let you change us, right? We're not gonna let you change how we do things, change our way of life. And now we're gonna go fuck you up, right? So you just accomplish nothing. Right? That's what we should have done after. That's what we should do after every tragedy. Like after the Pulse shooting, I mean, they want to do a memorial, and that's fine. I'm not saying memorials are bad. I'm just saying we should reopen the nightclub and do exactly what it was before. Don't let that fucking, that extremist from a bygone fucking religion that is only out to control people, right? Which all religion really is in a way. But let that guy lose. Let his ideology lose, right? Do exactly what you were doing before. Be mournful. Remember those who died. Pay homage to them. But don't let them dictate your fucking life.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like if you're Japanese, I don't know if you can live your life without being affected by the past in a lot of ways, because it's so part of your culture. I mean, everything in Japanese culture and their history is so reflective of, of the nuclear. I mean, it is. It's. I mean,
I mean,
they're definitely
I mean, if you,
they're definitely like they're. I mean, the whole basis of their culture now is that they had to rebuild and embrace a Western civilization in a lot of
well,
ways and kind of become a
in
weird
a lot of
hybrid
in
of.
a lot of ways, yeah. But I mean, you look at how there have been clever and unclever ways of throwing that into their like culture. I mean, like you can look at the
Godzilla
original
is a big.
Godzilla. The original Godzilla. So I was going to say that actually. I just had a burp there. But original Godzilla, if you look at it, it's this whole analogy, really a bit too heavy-handed. If you've watched the original one, you watch it with subtitles. Like I've watched the Criterion one of it. The subtitles are very heavy-handed. I don't know if that's how they are. They're a perfect translation or not. Criterion's pretty good about that, but they're very heavy-handed in how they want you to know that Godzilla is an analogy for the nuclear bomb, right?
Yeah.
And that's unclever, but at the same time, they've like thrown it in there, like, and then newer Godzilla, like he's covered in like little sores. These sores mimic the bomb, the radioactive
The effects and stuff like
the effects
that.
on the
Yeah.
body. That these are sores that people who have survived a nuclear tragedy or a nuclear exposure to radiation, that much radiation, because we're all exposed to enough of it, right? But enough that would scar you. That's what it's mimicking, and that just kind of plays a little bit into it, right? And that's of course the newer one was an American-made film, but they're still paying homage to it a little bit there.
I mean, I guess what I was gonna get to at the end point there is that I just think I like American culture better than most other cultures, and I know people don't like to say that anymore, like or you can't have that opinion
Well,
anymore, I guess.
I,
But I prefer for my experience of just reading and taking things in, I've never gotten more variety of things than I have from American
well,
society and from like Western civilization.
I want to say this one thing at the end here. American culture is very appropriative. I mean, we have such a very long lineage in this country. There are people who are German, people who are Irish, people who are Native American, people who are any number of country in the world, right? Have come here, and you find this diversity. And that has affected how we make our movies and our storytelling, our literature, and what have you. It can be traced, and it's this big melting pot, right? And people say the melting pot's kind of bad, and I think it is when you introduce certain cultures. I'm not going to mention that culture. I already have. But certain cultures aren't good. They're just not compatible, right? But and it's more of a historical aspect, I guess you could say, because German culture is so ingrained in even in our fucking food we eat. Hamburgers and hot dogs. Where do they come from?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like you're saying, we're like we're almost proof that multiculturalism can work in a lot of ways, because I feel like white people in America in a lot of ways are some of the most multicultural people, because we're like the bastards of Europe that left to be like, fuck you, we're gonna go be rebels, and we're like that we come from those people, like kind of the punk rockers,
Yeah.
right? And there's this fuck you attitude about America to get ahead, and every other one else in the world hates it. And I used to hate it too. I hated it my whole life. I hated the American, like, America's got to be the best. America's great. We got to strive to be better. I used to be like, oh, fuck that shit. It's nationalism. But now I don't totally agree. But I understand the idea of like baseball or that stuff. I understand the idea of like it means something to be American. It means something to have freedom of speech. It means something to have rights you have. It means something to have the Second Amendment to a lot of people. There's an importance to those things that I didn't value for a lot of my life, and now I think our generation in general underappreciates those things more than any previous generation made before them. I mean, they don't even see, they talk about slavery like it's like they have no historical context of it.
Yeah, like
They
they.
talk about all these things and they add no historical context to any of them.
Yeah. I
Um,
think that you when you have context to it, I mean, people will. There are people who are very racist and very just bad people that will use it like, okay, well, I'm not sorry for slavery. I'm not either because I didn't fucking do it, right? But people will say it
yeah,
in this condescending tone. I think there was this video, I forget what it was called, but it was this I'm not sorry, and it was a bunch of like him just being a giant racist, right? About a lot of
yeah,
different things. And one of them was slavery. And I'm like, I'm not sorry for it either because I didn't do it. My ancestors might have, but I didn't. Why would I be sorry for it? Right? How? What would me being sorry for it do? What would it do? Right? But people will use like the historical context, kind of like, well, it wasn't that bad because other countries did it. It was bad because every country did it. Right? That was the problem. Right? That's the
hmm
problem. Right?
Well, it should be a criticism of humanity, but they use slavery now as a criticism of white America. That's my issue. Is the regressives use slavery is only ever presented as a criticism of white people and white Southern stereotypes. That's all it is. Is this idea that the South is just radically racist and hates all black people, and just the fact they ignore only 6% of the country had slaves. The chances of your family actually having slaves is pretty slim. You probably have more likelihood that your family fought in the Civil War and died to free
Yeah.
slaves. But that's all relevant. But I hate it because that's what I was talking about earlier. It should always be about the humanity of it, not the what was the skin color. What because if it was specifically about that at the time, that is fine. But we know this was an issue all over the world throughout history. So there's a broader issue here than just race because race is too simple of an answer to this question. And that's always sexism is too simple of an answer. The UK, the UK, I love, like, I'm like a lot of people. I love your comedy, I love your fucking music, your movies. But from what I read, it sounds like you guys have some fucking asshole politicians sometimes, or some fucking awful
Well, I
regulations.
mean,
Not when it comes to the media, but it sounds like they have some weird
well,
rules.
I
Like you
mean,
can't just say anything there. You can't just do
you
anything like some
the
people
UK
think.
is very complicated because you have this whole porn ban thing, which we haven't discussed hardly at all. But you have like they have hate speech is like against the law there, and I don't think people should be racist, right? But I think when you give the government the power to regulate hate speech, you give them the power to regulate any speech, and that is dangerous. But people don't see that, right? So I think
Yeah,
I think the UK is a perfect melting pot of when both conservatives and liberals can fuck up a whole bunch, right? That's what I wanted to get across.
Yeah, and I don't think it's the people. I think the people, like, people are people. I'm just talking about how your country how it all seems run over there and a lot of stuff in Europe. I don't mean the people or whatever. We're all people, but I just the stuff I read about the UK and stuff like that's like, yeah, I probably wouldn't want to live there. Just the stuff I read about and the stuff you guys have, like I just like he said, the hate speech stuff. It's like, yeah, that stuff really scares me. I don't like the idea of hate speech really entirely because it's too subjective to the person who feels like they're getting hate speech spewed at them.
Yeah,
Like, how can you have an objective thing be hateful when the person saying it is the only person that fully understands what their meaning was when they say it?
yeah,
You'd have to see what their brain is emoting or whatever. I mean, it's not. That's so ridiculous. But I mean, this thing, the porn thing, I think it's just an extension of it because I mean, it sounds like it's weird for how like kind of atheist, liberal, progressive the UK is in a lot of ways, but then sometimes this conservative shit comes in where it seems like it takes them back years. Like, I mean, it's so weird with their politics. Like, you'll get a Milo Yiannopoulos guy, you'll get a gay guy who's like very conservative Republican. I mean, this is weird. It seems like they still have a very influential conservative movement over
and
there.
then you look at Brexit. I mean, that was like conservative. It was a whole conservative push, right? They didn't
Yeah,
want to be part of the EU because they didn't like the way the EU was going, right? Um, so I think it's always been there, right? It's always been there. It's just sometimes I think people, this goes for every country, aren't always voting with their politics. They're voting with how they see it at the time, how they feel like they need. They feel like they're voting on the in the moment of who they like, right? And that's why Donald Trump won. That's why Brexit was a big thing because in the moment the EU doesn't seem like it's a good idea. And maybe in 10 years, EU will reverse course and be more what they want to be and they'll want to rejoin or whatever, right? Maybe here in
Yeah.
4 years, we'll really regret voting in Donald Trump and we'll vote a Democrat back in, right? I think people aren't always voting with politics, right? I think people are, you hear your talking heads, your pundits, they make it seem like conservatives and liberals are always doing that, right? And maybe some of us are, but I don't think we always are.
Well, the issue with conservatives versus liberals, the issue with liberals is that they take liberalism too far, where they're like, hey, these are the ideas of what being liberals, and then they take it to the furthest extent to where they become socialist warriors. And then the conservatives do weird shit like this with the porn, where something like porn just shouldn't be fucked with, but then they try to play the moral argument with either religion. It's always children half the time or babies,
Well,
and they're like, we have to protect them from these evil things and these bad people on the internet.
And I think part of it has to do with the children, but also has to do with, like, they're going to do this, and then it gives them the chance, okay, these members of parliament aren't going to be able to stand up to it, because what are they going to do, defend porn?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to defend smut? What's wrong with them, right? Okay, well, they're going to ban porn then. Well, then you can ban your this is actually, from what I can tell, is being going to be under the British Board of Film Certification. That's going to be under their guidelines, right? That's their MPAA, I'm assuming. That's like their Motion Picture Association that rates the films certain credentials, right? If it's what rating it should get, right? That's giving them too much power. And you have look in the U.S., the MPAA is a bane to filmmakers, right? Filmmakers hate it because they want to shoot a certain scene a certain way, a certain sex scene or a certain scene that, okay, there's some homophobia in there. There's some like the way the
violence.
Well, even like if it's like the woman is not in missionary, right? It's in like doggy style, or it's in like whatever you want to say it is, right? Even if it's something different, right? That's untraditional, right? That's conservatism, again, affecting how our films are being made, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you have something like this in Britain, which I think is a longer history of it, right? But I don't fully understand Britain's film censorship.
Well, if anyone who listens to this is like from there, if you know more about this, let me know in the comments a little bit about the porn thing. Like,
we can do a follow-up, I think, to this one.
Yeah, but definitely, like, if you're from there, let me know a little bit more about this. Like, if you've been affected by any of these things that they've been, because it sounds like it's some other countries, and I'm even scared as up in here that they're starting to do some, like, we're gonna kind of supervise the internet and where you're allowed to go and how it's run. I mean, it's really starting to scare me, the direction we seem to be going with the internet. That I'm worried that we're gonna start having way more government supervision.
Well, I mean, we don't want
in what we do.
I guess we can just end this a little bit on Donald Trump's his choices of FCC advisors, right? These guys are anti-net neutrality, and that's scary for sure. I don't want to seem like an SJW or a cuck, I guess, but I'm gonna laugh my ass off and be equally pissed off when something does happen at neutrality. But I'm gonna get to laugh at the people who just were so for Donald Trump, right? When he takes away their net neutrality, and that's gonna hurt their internet. It's gonna hurt the internet greatly. I'm just gonna get a little bit of laughter in there.
So the porn thing, you know more about it than me. Is it really that big of a deal, or is it just kind of like an inconvenience more than anything?
We really don't know, because like I said, they tried to pass something like this. They were talking about it a few years ago, and I don't know if it went anywhere. I really couldn't find a whole lot about. I couldn't find a difference in there. So this seems like it's dangerous, but again, I really don't know, because it said it does have like the gauge gate thing, but it also has the rules on what you can do in these acts, right? So this could not just be like this dangerous, like, oh, it's just an age gate thing. It could be very dangerous.
Well, I'm worried about this idea that they need some kind of approval of information or something to verify. I don't know. That's just that stuff. I'm scared. I don't know if a lot of people know. Anonymity on the internet used to be my favorite thing about the internet, and it's very difficult to get that anymore. It's very tough today to completely have anonymity on the internet like you once could. Like, you used to join a forum and you got on and you made a username, and that's why a lot of people on YouTube do it, because you don't always want this shit to come in your personal. Like the internet used to be a separate thing. Like you used to could have internet friends and an internet life, and it didn't affect your real life as much. But now it's like they're completely like together all the time through because of like Facebook
Yeah,
and stuff like
yeah,
that. Like you're
especially
surrounded by local things way more than you ever were. Like all your friends on Facebook see the shit you're saying that before none of them would have saw the stuff that you're having in conversation. You find people that you wanted to talk to about similar things. And today, stuff like this, I feel like they're just trying to make it more and more to where you can't just be someone on the internet. You have to be you on the internet all the time. And they're going to get you in trouble for it, too, is my worry. They're going to get
yeah.
punished for stuff you say or do on the internet.
I don't want to cut that off, but we're getting a long time here. I wanted to talk about this whole CEO of Reddit manipulating manipulating comments on the Donald Trump subreddit. I'm gonna go ahead and
Is it the Donald Reddit or the Donald? Is it just the Donald Trump one?
it's the Donald, right? I just kind of did a little. I just want to call it that in case nobody knew what it was. It is the Donald.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with Reddit, it is the Donald. If you're familiar with Reddit, you probably have already heard of this. But I'm gonna go ahead and read the CEO, which is his name is Spez, and I'm gonna name that's his username. I'm gonna name his read his comment here. It's, hey everyone, yep, I messed with the fuck Spez comments, replacing Spez with the Donald mods for about an hour. It's been a really long week, trying to unwind about the whole Pizzagate, which I'm not going to get into here. As much as we try to maintain a good relationship with you all, it does getting called a pedophile is not. I mean, I fucked it up there, but basically he gets called a pedophile a bunch, whatever. As a CEO, I shouldn't play such games, and it's all fixed now. Our community team is pretty pissed at me, so I assure this won't happen again. Which this comment right now is it actually was setting it a lot worse downvotes earlier. I mean, last night it was like negative 2,000 votes because this blew up last night on Reddit, but now it's just down to negative 463 points.
So basically, he was altering negative comments
Yes,
about him.
he was altering negative comments because he has a back end of the website and he can change things that normal people can't do.
Yeah, this is even a broader issue that we're seeing where like the executive power, like the executives of these places, like how YouTube heroes basically like these online companies, Mark Zuckerberg, like they're starting to tell you, like, hey, actually sometimes we do these things to actually kind of like fuck you over because we don't want to actually, deal with the freedom of having this website and people be able to do the what. And once again, we always have to say they're allowed to do whatever they want, but it really pisses me off when your whole site's about like people talking and communicating, and then you manipulate the conversation. It's like YouTube tries to manipulate the video content on this website and what gets watched or not.
Right, because Google's at least smart and they're not doing it themselves. They're having their users do it. Like, oh, we're going to mass flag this. Well, people don't like it. We got to take it down, right? They can do it indirectly. I think it's even more dangerous. But at least here on Reddit, it's the CEO being a real dumbass, right? It's the CEO being a massive dumbass when it comes to this. I think it's just so funny that he admitted to it at least. But you're right. It does show just how dangerous this is becoming with these companies and their power they have.
Well, you should be hands off, man. Like that's my attitude. Like, I mean, it's very my philosophy about like as long as people aren't doing anything that's like violent. Like, I know you don't want to be called a pedophile, but like, God, I get negative comments every day on my fucking videos that say all kinds of mean shit. It's like you could just remove them. You could just delete the comment if you want, if you don't like it.
See,
like that's fine.
I don't even like doing that. I mean, the pedophile.
Me neither.
The pedophile thing is like dangerous because people. That's a real problem that men face. Is we get called that sometimes, and even if it's not true, that can hold this connotation to us. Like you've heard of all these negative, these false rape claims that even the police say, yeah, he didn't do it. It's a bullshit. It's a lie. She's going to jail for it, right? Still, his reputation is ruined because people may not have heard that that she's going to jail for lying about it, right? That's dangerous. Yeah. That's dangerous. But should you alter it that much? Because that just, to me, it's very dangerous because you're altering what someone said, right? They have so much power at Reddit. Now, Reddit's just a fucking stupid website that people waste time on. And that's all it ever should be. But it's the precedent that it sets for other websites that are more important that I think is dangerous.
Well, it's weird because he said Reddit this whole time, and he's saying this now. So now, can we ever trust Reddit again? Like, how do we know he didn't do this before?
That's very possible.
And how do we know it won't happen again?
He's had the power for however long, and it just shows that we really don't know.
Because like even you telling the truth about this doesn't mean that I can believe you now entirely. And that's where it's like, you fooled me once. It's like, okay, well now this makes me think that Reddit has some, has people, and everyone's got biases, but yeah, I don't like it because Reddit's definitely way more anti SJWs and way more. I mean, Reddit's way more like the alt right has fucking. I mean, people on Reddit don't give a fuck. They try
Well,
to be like
they do
trolls and
they do in a way, but Reddit also has very regressive communities on it. I'm not going to name names. I don't know them all, but there are
yeah, they do.
they do have subreddits that are practically Tumblr and Twitter on there. Just these regressive ideas that I'm not saying the Tumblr subreddit. I'm just saying the ideology, right?
Yeah,
Because there is a Tumblr subreddit that's just kind of a Tumblr greatest hits, right? They have communities like that are very like they accuse. I remember back last year when they banned Fat People Hate, which was it was a subreddit that was just people making fun and harassing fat people, right? They'd go to gyms, they'd go in a public and just take a picture of a fat guy, like look how fat he is. But
Jesus.
it was a really dumb subreddit. But you can say if it should be taken down or not. It's not really up for debate here. I don't really care.
The better idea if it had been about black people and they just would have went and took photos of random black people. Like, look, a black guy. What's he doing here?
I remember this comment that I read after that was taken down though, and it was this like one of the most regressive things I've heard on Reddit. And it was, I believe, on the Circle Broke subreddit, which is like, the Circle Jerk subreddit, which is about making fun of circle jerks, right? Then you have Circle Broke, which is the same thing, but it's like more deep and like, we're depressed people do circle jerks on the internet, right? It was stupid. But one comment's like, men on Reddit really hate women a lot. They really do. And they kind of give all these different lists about different things, right? And I'm like, I don't remember the exact comment or what thread it was on. I'll never figure out again, probably. But it was just like you saw that, and you go and just read different the replies to and how they agreed with this person, blah blah blah. And I'm like, how the fuck does Reddit hate women? Do you know how many porn subreddits are on this website? They're worshipped here. Shut the fuck up. They're worshipped.
Objectification, scumbag.
Piss off, man. Piss off.
Well,
when you have,
how do you feel?
How do you feel
about the porn argument?
So many subreddits on this website are dedicated to how beautiful women are and how we not just worship is a joke. They don't worship them on there. It's more just this joke I made. But people aren't like saying these women are bitches and hoes and saying I hate women, right? They're just good for fucking, right? No, people don't say that on Reddit. Now there are subreddits that I'm sure that do. I'm sure they are. But all these subreddits, you go to any of the main porn subreddits, right? You can find them on your own, right? You can find them on your own. You'll find in the top comments on that particular day, on that particular thread, on that particular day, you will find the top comments are just, she's beautiful, and maybe a little more vulgar than that. But when you use words like tits and ass, and you use them to connotate how beautiful a woman is, it's still beauty. It's a little more vulgar, but it's still beauty. And it's saying how you appreciate that person. That may be a little too deep for that, but I hope you get my point.
Well, I'm wondering, I was wondering about, because you make a good point, because there is that debate about it with people, whether, like, porn, because there's a part of me that can almost understand the argument of, like, porn so overexposed today, especially, that men might become more disillusioned towards women in reality and buy into a fantasy more through porn. And it's certainly, I have met guys that have had that issue.
I don't even think that it's just porn. I mean, look at how film tells romance, right? Look how filmmakers make movies. That's unrealistic.
But that's the point I was going to come to. But my counter for it, because you made a great point there. But that was the whole thing I was coming to, was like, I thought about that. I go, that stuff is, maybe that is true. Maybe that is why men that way. And then I thought about all the stuff like 50 Shades of Grey and Twilight that women are into and gave them this bullshit concept of romance and love. And I'm like, they just sell this stuff to people that are into it, and men are just into porn more than women. And they do. They just buy it more. They want it more. And women want to call men perverts for that. But for whatever reasons, biology, evolution, whatever the fuck it is, society, men like porn more in that way, even though I know plenty of girls who like porn, obviously. But if we're just talking the numbers here, right, guys hit porn sites more by far.
Yeah.
But Okay, but the argument for that is they say women get more stimulation in a sense of like they can look at an image of a guy and think he's really hot and they feel more sensation in that moment, but they won't think about that guy a week later. We can like watch a porn video and still be thinking about that girl a couple weeks
Yeah,
later. It's just the difference between men and women and the interest
it's
they have.
also an individual thing. Some people are different than others, of course.
Yes, of
But
course. Definitely.
I mean,
But, sorry, go on.
I'm just like, I don't get that. Reddit has this problem, and the whole when Spez did his whole thing, right? My biggest fear was like not really a fear, just kind of like the oh shit moment, right? This is gonna give the conspiracy theorists, which Reddit is just full of them, right? See, on Reddit, people are often they're praised for their skepticism, right? But it's not skepticism. It's just everything is told to me is a lie. I have to uncover the truth, right? That's where it's a big thing. It's just everyone's a conspiracy theorist on here. That's going to give them ammo because, well, turns out they're right here.
You're not wrong about that. It's kind of like when we well, it's kind of like when we find out that stuff that we were worried YouTube does, and then it comes out later that
Or
they're basically doing the
like
things we.
I hate to go back to WikiLeaks and Clinton, but I mean, people are like, oh, she's rigging the election, right? And then when it's actually proven that the DNC cheated for her against Bernie, well, you're giving ammo to people who probably shouldn't have ammo. You're making people who would normally be considered tinfoil hat losers. Well, you're making them right. You're making them the ones telling the truth, right? Even if it's misguided,
What
they're telling the truth now, and that's dangerous to you. At
Well,
least.
proof of that specific thing is that this is the first election that I think Alex Jones actually had a real influence on. Like, legitimately, Alex Jones has more credibility right now than a lot of people in the mainstream media, and it's insane. He really is like Rose in the like, because it's very strange because he used to say all this crazy shit, and the
He
thing
still
is,
says crazy shit.
yeah, it's just half the crazy shit he used to say. Some of it actually came true during this election. So people gave, like you said, it gave credence to him because he'd been saying crazy shit for years. And let's just say he was throwing darts at a fucking board. You're going to be right sometimes.
Yeah.
So, but it's funny because you bring that up because I was a guy during that whole thing where I told people like the Bernie thing. I was telling people to drop it because I was like, that's a fucking conspiracy. That's retarded. You think they set up the fucking, because I had no evidence. So I just went with I thought logically, well, why would they do that, right? And then, once it came out, that was something where I could have put my foot in my mouth where it's like, oh. And that was really a turning point for me for like Hillary, even in the Democratic Party. That was the moment that I really turned on them, where I was like, well, I was really defending you guys like a few months ago, and now I look like a
Well,
jackass.
I remember back on the Bernie subreddit, I used to frequent it a lot back when it was relevant. It's still kind of relevant, but more relevant. It there are people that would call us tinfoil hat because we would say, oh, there's the election fraud going on in Arizona or in New York, where like, oh, people who are lifelong Democrats all of a sudden not registered anymore to vote. They're Republican now for some accident, right? And then this stuff happens. Well, I mean, those people now are correct, right? But we on Reddit we were called like conspiratards and these conspiracy theorists, losers, tinfoil hats, and now they're right. What are you gonna do now?
Yeah, I mean that's legitimately what happened to me. I mean, I called people that I was like, "Oh, you're just being conspiracy theorists because you love Bernie," and then it came out that there was actually a lot of manipulation in the Democrats to hurt Bernie in the media and stuff. And it's like, well, Jesus, how the am I supposed to support you guys? They don't care about your vote. I mean, that's the ultimate thing here that I got to get to for the Democrats is that I feel like what you can say about the Republicans or whatnot, I still feel like they were more Democratic in this primaries and all that than the fucking Democrats were, because the Democrats basically said, "Hey, Hillary Clinton." The Republicans, you had a shitload of options, and Trump just won that.
Bad options, but yes.
He basically won through fucking Darwinism. He just bullied everyone else into submission. I mean, the difference between Trump and the other men that were running, and this is the biggest distinction here, they were beta males, and Trump is an alpha. Ted Cruz is a beta, Ben Carson's a beta, Jeb Bush is a beta. None of those guys had the just that anger, that charisma, that even if he was saying stupid shit, he was the loudest guy in the room. Always. He was doing the most shit. And he said those funny lines. He'd say something insulting about one of those guys, and they couldn't deal with it because they were used to doing debates where you talked and had talked about policy. Then Donald Trump comes in and starts making fun of you. and he's better at it than these guys are. Like I think if Obama and him are going back and forth, yeah, Obama would give him some one-liners that would really fuck his day up. But the Republican Party's not known for its sense of humor. So Trump comes in and just I think that's what it was, is that he came into the Republican Party and they were supposed to be like, the uptight type, old school Bible Belt people, and he comes on acting fucking crazy. I mean, he basically killed PC culture this election.
Right,
He just
yeah, he
destroyed.
hearted at least, yeah. So
Yeah, he stabbed political correctness in the heart this year for sure. Because it is the whole concept of it has to be thought of in a different way, because now the president did not use political correctness at all. What does that even mean
well,
anymore?
we can this up here pretty soon, but
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna wrap up here in this minute.
I just want to say about Trump. We've rambled on about him for too long. Next time we're doing this, we're not talking about Trump once. Understand? But
I'm fine with that. It's just I feel like these things kind of related.
yeah, I know.
Somewhat.
I'm just giving you a hard time. My point is that Trump, he capitalized on what I think some people are saying. Some people are wrong to think that, not truthful, right? Not the right way to think. Whatever. My point is that he was saying things that people actually cared about. Like people didn't like that. People were scared of the immigrants. They're scared of the, which I mean, may be legitimate to think that way. Maybe I'm not saying it's not or it is. It's up for debate, right? Or
What was a discussion to have
yeah, and I think
about
he
it?
was like the Jesus thing. Republicans, sure, some care about that, but most are they're issue based, right? Most Republicans are issue based. Like it goes back to the whole talking point thing. These talking heads. I mean, you have people on Fox News, on MSNBC. These talking heads kind of making a straw man out of the other side. Well, the other side is not really that bad. Some are, sure, but the straw man's not always right.
Well, that's the conclusion I came to, is that for years when I was a teenager, I bought into some of the things because I didn't like the Republican Party, but then you have to realize like they both spread propaganda about each other, and they've been doing that for so long now that we just got so used to it. And I think this election made it so clear to everyone that legitimately Trump pretty much, I think, won for a big reason, because it was just kind of a middle finger to the establishment and basic politics. I mean, it's funny because Obama was really an outsider to the American public, and Bernie was an outsider to the American in that way, and so was Trump. The one person who wasn't was Hillary Clinton. She was the one that was, that like a Jeb
That
Bush.
and like Jeb Bush. Yeah, I was gonna say Jeb Bush.
Yeah, they were the ones that were, and Jeb Bush did horribly. And it's funny they didn't see that reflect over, because technically speaking, if we're just talking that, if we're following old school basic politics, Jeb Bush should have easily had the Republican
Yeah,
nomination.
he should have
But
easily,
it doesn't
but
work that way.
it just didn't work out that way.
Yeah,
Poor
and,
Jeb.
and for
Poor Jeb.
Hillary,
Poor Jeb.
it's like they didn't accept that she didn't have because if she was having a hard time winning the primaries, that did not look good for a GE.
Well,
Trump dominated in his primaries for the most part. He
yeah,
was kicking ass.
yeah, and not just that she was doing so bad. It's just that she was doing bad in general election polling.
Yes,
Like,
throughout the
because
entire
they were
election.
including Bernie in this. They were including him. Like I think I remember Bernie would have won Utah. Utah has never gone red. Has never gone Democratic since back when the Democratic Party was, you know, was the conservative ones, right? They haven't won that in forever, right? And Bernie, because people didn't like Trump that much, they didn't like Clinton or anybody. They would have gone blue because of Bernie, right? And of course, Bernie won the
Oh, it's like
he won the Utah primary back when it happened. But there
yeah.
were just so many states that he won that she lost this time, right? Or that he would have been so much more competitive in, right? Compared to her.
Well, he might have probably could have won. I mean, I definitely think that one would have been a battle between the two of them. But those states, I think, at least with Bernie, you could have had the numbers might have split enough to go in the favor of the Democrats.
I think definitely like Wisconsin and Michigan, Utah. I mean, not Utah. I'm not really sure because it would end up going for Trump anyway.
Yeah, some of this stuff's tough to because it is a little bit like I don't know specific ones.
But
They may have went that way.
He won Wisconsin and he won Michigan. He won them. He won Wisconsin pretty easily, but Michigan was a little closer. So I think he ultimately, because Bernie, the thing that Michigan, I want to end it on this. Michigan was this, like it's a worker state. People live in Michigan, they work for a living, right?
Mm-hmm.
And back in the primary, Bernie appealed more to them than Clinton did. Well, general election, who are the people going to appeal more to? The guy that says he's going to end these awful trade deals, or the one that wants to continue them?
Well, that's why I never got why during the G, because yeah, you made a good point. Because Michigan, she didn't even campaign there much near the end here, and that was a critical flaw now, not going to Michigan more. But it's weird to think that, for politicians being so good at lying, I'm really not sure why they didn't make the decision to start lying. Like, because Trump is pretty obvious he's just talking out his ass about everything. But you figure Hillary would have learned at some point that playing the opposite to everything Trump said wasn't a good idea. Like, they immediately went on the like, well, hey, don't talk about immigration, that's racist. Don't talk about this stuff, it's sexist. And then they acted like everyone that was politically active this year didn't care about those issues, but those were big issues that Hillary Clinton just didn't even seem to care about, honestly. I
Well,
mean, Trump.
they ran their elections, or I should say, Hillary ran their election because there was the whole "I'm with her" thing, right?
Awful slogan.
She put identity politics into it. You look at one of Bernie's. I hate to go back to Bernie, but you look at one of his campaign slogans was "Not me, us." It was about the people. It was about people taking control of their government again from these corporations and these interest groups, right? Taking their voice back, right? Trump appealed to the exact same thing. She didn't. Trump didn't play. He played it a little bit, played it a little bit too much sometimes, right? But he played policy a bit more than she did, and that's what won it for him.
Well, it's funny because he didn't articulate any of the stuff well. He was just focused on those things, and she didn't even want to talk about them in a sense. So that was the big turning point, I think, in the general election. Is like in those debates, in those big moments. I think if Hillary Clinton would have actually come out and actually discussed policies in depth and really explained what she was going to do.
The reason she didn't do that so much is because her policy ideas aren't popular. She would have probably signed the TPP. It wouldn't have been dead in Congress. She probably would have. She would have continued what Obama did in certain areas, but to a bit more of a right extreme, to a bit more to the right, because she was to the right of both Bernie and Obama. So people didn't like those. So why would they fucking? Because I think if her supporters really sit down and listen to her politics, Bernie would have won the primary easily. The cheating wouldn't have helped. Bernie would have won because her policies suck ass, right? And Bernie's were good, right?
Well, also all these fucking celebrities like the Sarah Silvermans that were huge Bernie supporters, and then they flip on you during they tell you like if you don't like Hillary that you're terrible.
You're a Bernie bro. Just called you.
Yeah,
bro.
they
Kill yourself.
they don't seem to get that the people who liked Bernie, even though I was one of the huge ones, I always understood the concept of these are people that didn't like conventional politics and wanted to vote for somebody that was an outsider. You couldn't transfer that base to Hillary Clinton. She is everything that they don't like. Even getting Bernie to come on in a video and tell people to vote for her, that's not going to happen. Because Bernie's whole concept is that you don't have to listen to him that way. So just him telling you that.
He said way back not way back, it was a few months before he endorsed her, that she has to earn your vote. Right? No matter what happens, the candidate has to earn your vote. So that was pretty much like Bernie saying, hey, if I end up losing this, don't listen to a word I say, right? After this point, right?
Well, it's just he always talks about what's the point, because there's a point where him endorsing Hillary wasn't going to do anything because the Bernie fans and the Hillary fans just weren't going to come together like that. It just wasn't going to happen. It was a pointless cause. They would have gotten more traction out of Bernie just, being practical about it and being like, hey, I don't like Hillary Clinton, but I don't like Donald Trump even more. But they tried to put him on the Trump attack. And that backfired because the Trump attack became so overexposed that by the time Bernie started talking about it, it was like, well, who gives a shit anymore? Oh, Trump said pussy. Okay. It was too much. Like they didn't have good candor with how they handled those situations. But yeah, we should probably end on that stuff. And yeah, we have some other articles we were going to do, but I was shocked how much we got out of those two.
Really? So we didn't talk a whole lot about them.
Yeah, I'm shocked how. Well, we it's funny because we use them as a base, but we started talking about class in other countries.
We discussed the hotline thing, I think, pretty well, but the porn thing and the spez thing we didn't do a whole lot on. But yeah, that was fun. It was fun, dude.
Well, I don't think you always have to stay on topic to have a good, interesting conversation relating to it. So,
I mean,
I thought
we rambled on for like 90 minutes though, but whatever, that's cool.
I mean, hey, I don't. Hey, if people like it, it's a longer podcast. I don't give a shit. I thought there was some good shit in there, but this is Patriarchal Bastards, and Scumbag's a piece of shit.
Oh man, fuck you.
motherfucker. He doesn't, he's trying to hold back my beautiful long podcast. This was going to be a 4.5 hour
It'll be a
show.
4.5 hour
And,
podcast featuring guest interviews from I don't know. That joke didn't last long.
we were going to have Devin Tracy on here, but he threatened to dox both of us.
Yeah, he
So
threatened to delete my location to the Republicans and have them send me hate mail or some shit, or send me bullshit. I don't know.
the Republicans send you like a fucking like how they cut the horse head off in The Godfather. They send you like Bernie's hair or something.
It's
And
like,
they're
oh,
like,
this is some gray hair. This could be from literally anybody.
"This is Larry David's hair."
Yeah, I can smell it.
Nice thought.
It smells. It smells like Larry David smells. Duh.
Can I ask you one hypothetical though before we end this?
Sure.
You think Bernie was VP for Hillary, they would have won the election?
No.
Okay, I'm just
Because
asking. It was a yes or no.
people didn't like Bernie as they liked Bernie because he was of his ideas. VP is a figurehead role, right?
Mhm.
For Trump, it's like an insurance policy because you don't like Trump. Odds are you probably really hate Pence. So don't kill Trump because he's not as bad as Pence, right?
Yeah. Well, that's a weird thing is that his strategy for hiring his VP was smart in that sense. Hillary Clinton's Tim Kaine, I thought was a very poor decision because it really made no
We
impact.
can't talk about Tim Kaine, dude. Tim Kaine triggers me.
I'm sorry.
Such a fucking retarded choice.
Yeah, that was like Sarah Palin back in the day with John McCain, where it was like, dude, what were you thinking?
Well, Sarah Palin was like
you
that,
might
that was like
like
that was like
this.
pandering. That was like pandering to the female base and the hey,
That was the worst
hey,
pandering
we're
I've ever
not
seen.
we're not that kind of conservative, man. We like women too, right? Here's Sarah Palin, a complete dumbass. Here we go.
We're Mavericks.
She can see Russia from her house. Not really.
Hey, I'll say it though. I'll take Sarah Palin over the regressive SJWs. I kind of miss the
Dude,
Sarah Palin days. I mean,
she should have been more involved in this election, dude. She was so entertaining.
remember we used to make fun of like Christians, Bible Belt. Like, what happened to the liberals? What the fuck happened to leftists? Like, we used to all be like the punk rock guys. Like, I thought we were all like, yeah, fuck these religious fanatics. Fuck the, now it's all like, yeah, Islam, gay. It's like, wait, what happened to the punk rock? I thought we were like, hey, big government. I thought we were against the government doing. No, the government should control everything. What? Okay, like, oh, gender. It's like I thought we didn't care about that stuff. No, it's the most important thing now. Oh, I thought the whole idea is we were getting over those things, but now it sounds like yeah, like we're back like in the 1950s or something with these people's mindset. But that in particular is what really sucks.
Yeah,
Is like that it used to be really fun to make fun of the conservatives, and now it's so hard to make fun of conservatives like you used to because Democrats keep fucking up too.
my friend, it's coming back. It's coming back. The next 4 years are gonna be fucking pristine time
I
to make
want it.
fun of conservative. Pristine.
The SJWs don't get. If you guys would just stop your bullshit, we could all team up together and just hate Trump together for the next 4 years.
We could just fucking like just roll on him, man. Fucking tag team him, right?
But instead, we're gonna be forced to defend him in some
Man,
scenarios
we're gonna
because
have to like back against the wall, point our guns at both sides of the argument, and just like fucking back off.
they put a gun to our head. It's like, make America great again, please. I don't want feminism anymore. Lacey Green, go away. Stop copyright claiming my videos. Just stop it. But yeah, it's funny because yeah, those people, yeah, they want to dictate speech, take over everything, and yet they talk about the Republicans like they're going to take rights away. And I'm like, you guys want to take rights away? You're the same people who are saying we shouldn't be able, like you're giving mansplaining hotlines. These fucking motherfuckers, man. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the second episode. We're gonna try to do this more regularly now because we just couldn't schedule this. I want this to be
Pat here to
weekly.
get off his ass to quit jerking off at 12 in the morning. Like, dude, we can make a podcast
Yeah,
now. No, I gotta do something. I'm doing something, man. What are you doing, Pat? Stuff. My girlfriend's asleep. I can't wake her up. Sure.
Yeah, I'm playing.
Sure,
I'm really
sure,
just playing.
Sure, a woman would let you into her life. Sure, Pat. Sure.
This girlfriend I've made up for the entire patriarchy character to just get my. It's like, oh no, I have a black friend. I have a gay friend. Oh, I have a girlfriend. Don't worry, I'm not misogynist. It's no big deal. Reality, I'm like a white supremacist at my house. There's swastikas everywhere, stuff, and nobody knows. It's just a secret. It's like, don't worry, guys. That's the once I get to 500,000 subs, you'll know. Big plot twist is coming. You, you realized you've been supporting a white supremacist this whole time. But yeah, let's see. We covered suicide, mansplaining, porn,
Yep.
Europe, culture, slavery, and
Dank
Sarah
memes.
Palin. Yeah, dank memes. But please like, comment, and subscribe. Leave in the comments how you feel about these things. I really like to hear your opinions on the stuff we talked about with the internet, net neutrality. Like,
Net
talk
Nutella?
about,
Did you say net Nutella?
yeah, net Nutella. If you really like Nutella, please let us know in the comments if you like these peanut butter and chocolate together. Which, if you don't, you're terrible. But yeah, yeah. Let's focus on that a little bit because the mansplaining thing, really, there's nothing to talk about for now. Let's talk about those issues. Like, are you scared of the content police? Are you scared of the governments overseeing these things? Are you scared of the future of these things? Because I'm certainly have. Are these companies like the Reddit thing? I'm scared of these things. I think there's something to be worried about here, and we need to be aware of these things. And let's call these fuckers out when they do these things, especially. Um, so yeah, nobody support this. Fuck the Reddit guy, and fuck anyone. If anyone in Trump's fucking if they're gonna fuck with the internet at all, fuck you. And we will team up together to fight that. Trust me, we will all team up with you guys in a fucking heartbeat because we love the internet all together. I think we like the freedom of the internet. So just give your opinions on that. Please go check out Scumbag's channel. And he makes a good video every once in a while. He's not that bad. He's kind of cute when you see him in a different light. And keep watching my shit because I need your money.
Yeah, he needs
And
that YouTube money, that blood money you take from the hands of poor, starving women because you fucking rape them with your violent words, you fucking pig.
no, I would love if some girl left a comment that was like, "You rape me with your words," and I'm like, and I just made money off of it too.
Oh man, got paid to rape. Hell yeah.
That's how fucked up that
Hell
is.
yeah.
So, I guess until next time, go fuck yourselves.